GPA on Albany Avenue. So this question I'm going to ask kind of for everybody. It's something that I've noticed working with the youth quite a bit within the past 2 years of being in Hartford. And I've been in different states. I lived in North Carolina. I lived in upstate New York. I've traveled different places. One thing I'm kind of noticing, being specifically from Hartford, is the kids don't have a resource to where when they're going through things, whether it's a generational problem or maybe their parent is bad with money and the schools aren't teaching financial literacy, what's going to happen there? How are we going to step into the community, specifically Hartford, to where the kids see that there's people that care for them in a way where they don't feel so alone? And then also, besides the financial literacy, I'm noticing a lot of the kids are dealing with things that are simply just breathing. Where's the programs that are going to involve kids to know about their body, their actual systems that's going on, their nervous systems? We have a brain and we have a body that I feel like that sometimes we don't like to pay a lot of attention to. And I think a lot of the problems can be simply solved if we sit down and we teach the kids how to use what God gave them. So I guess in a sense, I'm up here just kind of to say, how do we go back to the simple ways of noticing that we're all human, no matter what color, what language, however way we speak or look, we're all still the same. So how do we bridge that gap? And that's kind of my intake of what I've noticed so much working with kids. And personally, I love kids. I don't know who said it. I believe it was you, sir, but you said that the kids aren't bad. And I completely agree. That's one of my pet peeves. We all have a certain genuine pureness of energy built within us. And as kids, it's very chaotic because we're new to the world. And if nobody's there to guide us, to show us how to use it, or there's no programs like building homes, farming, all these different things that we can use, you can't label a kid bad, in my opinion. It's just, there's no one to guide the child. So how do we all come together and make that something that doesn't really exist?
That's a great question. And in my 40 plus years of attending community meetings, with all of the receipts, because I got tapes with me, and I can almost give you a script of who's going to say what, and before they even say it, is how many times I've heard certain things. And Hartford has become a huge think tank. There's no shortage of problem identification. But the think tank is where things start. Where are the people who implement? And to me, that's part of what the mayor's job is. Your city council does a lot of the, the policy setting, the hearing from the community, implementing those things, making sure that the funding is there. But you need someone to execute that. I say Hartford is not mismanaged. It's not managed at all. We have a $400 million entity in this city who should, by default, be teaching everything you just got finished talking about, which is the Hartford Public Schools. They are charged with having possession of our children for 8 hours a day. They don't communicate with Parks and Rec. We've got a system of silos and fiefdoms all over the city, whether it's nonprofits, whether it's the faith community, whether it's, mosques, temples, churches. Everyone's in their own little corner instead of working together. So if you go to my website, McCauleyForMayor.com, there's a 6-point plan that prioritizes all of the things that you're just talking about. She mentioned some of those things too, and a lot of that stuff's on her website as well. Because there's a lot of alignment, as there should be. Because the problems are not rocket science. If you ask us how to fix a flat tire, most of us will come up with the same solution. Let's start off by getting the flat off the car and take the one out the trunk. We might have an argument as to who's going to do the work, but at the end of the day, the work is the work. We have a Department of Youth, Parks and Recreation. Our Parks and Recreation Department should be working with the schools. In my opinion, they should be in the schools. Every school should have a Parks and Rec department in it. It shouldn't close at the end of the day. It should stay open until like 8 or 9 o'clock. These centers here should be used for more older kids and also more crisis-oriented things and intervention, where the public schools after-school resources would be used for education, parent engagement, and interface. And like Josh talked about, the things that they have up in the suburban schools. You know, music, the arts, entertainment, theater, drama, all those things help for young people, as he mentioned, channel their energies into things that are creative. If you take those things away, you cannot help but get what we have. What we have is not by accident. I'm sure you understand what I'm talking about. It is by design. So anyone that's shocked as to what we have here in Hartford is willfully naive or ignorant, to be frank. All right? And until you have leadership in City Hall, 550 Main Street, in the office that faces the MDC building, that thinks about the residents of Hartford in terms of what is best for my constituents, nothing will change. Same bus route, different driver, goes the same way. It's time to get off the bus, get an Uber. If you can't get an Uber, get a car. Or if you can't get a car, get an Uber. Start driving where you want to go. And I say that to say this. It's your government. It's a political body. It will respond if you push it in a certain political direction. So people need to stop having discussions as to what's wrong and what we're going to do and turn those discussions into, this is what I would like to do. I would like to have music programs brought into every school. How can we get it done? Well, I don't know if we can, no. Wrong answer. Be like Steve Jobs, right? That's what Steve Jobs said. I'm a man down at Corning. I need a glass that I can use. Oh, I don't know if we do that. No, don't be scared. We're going to change the world. I need you to make a glass that I can use for my new phones that are coming out. All right? Make it happen. Demand that it happens. If we don't have the money, as he mentioned, as she mentioned, well, let's go get it. We have a federal government. We have a state legislative office. All right? We're close to the end of the deadline, and I'm going to get off my soapbox and sit down. All right? One of the reasons John Bonferra was in the race was because a lot of the money that comes from up on the hill is directed to the city, never is spent on the things that he directed the money to get here. Those are the words out of John's mouth. If he lies about telling me that, I'll call him out in public. All right? There's so much that goes on in the city that is just unacceptable. But we don't have the force of constituents to speak up against it. There are people on council. I'll point to this guy here, because I've worked with him over the last several years. But his one voice is not enough of a vote to get a majority. There's just people don't want to use the resources that are for Hartford. And if you allow them, they'll spend it any way they can, except for how they can. All right? Woman right there got money for the flooding, for sewage mitigation. All right? Folks said it couldn't be done. Wrong answer. Wrong answer. I was walking around the legislative office building with her, and she taught me a valuable lesson. She was asking where people were. They said, well, he's in a meeting. She said, well, what room's the meeting? Well, no, what room is the meeting in? I'll go talk to him. They said, hold on, I'll get him for you. She told me, tell me if I'm wrong, I'm used to dealing with folk at the Pentagon. When I'm told to go get something, I don't come back without getting what I need. All right? That's what you need. All right?
Thank you. All right, so